Welcome back to Ascending Health. This is our 8th session and final session in this seminar, Introduction to Ascending Health. And so in this session, we're going to talk about leadership health. Again, last time we talked about lifting the leader to greater heights. Now we're going to focus on lifting the team to greater heights. So a lot about leadership is not just about the individual, but how the leader is managing a team and the identity that the team has in providing leadership. Here's my contact information again, Sam Ingracia, sam@ascending.health. I want to thank you for choosing this seminar and this platform. I pray that it's been a blessing to you. As it's appropriate, I look to further contact or opportunities. So I just want to thank you for persevering here into session number 8. Everything we said about the leader in session 7 applies to the team. And so the individual needs to be a servant leader with a proper view of authority, which is not power and authority, but humility, trustworthy, and trust generating. All of that applies to the team collectively. Leaders who are collectively serving, leaders who are collectively humble, who are trustworthy and are generating trust. They have a collective identity. I mean, think about that, how we talk about groups of people as an individual. So we'll talk about, the elders, the deacons, the board, the directors, the owners, the pastors, the leadership team, the executive team, the government team, even sports teams have an identity. And American football, I live in Dallas, so it's a football team called the Dallas Cowboys. People talk about the Cowboys collectively. It's an organization of a huge number of people and a huge number of football players, and yet people talk about them as a collective identity. And so it's important to realize this. So when we think about the Ascending Health framework as a mirror for ourselves and a window we look through to view others, it's true for the team as well. The team needs to look into the mirror to see how the team is. The team looks through the window of Ascending Health as they view others, because guess what? Others are looking through the window back at us as a team. Over the years, I've served on many different leadership teams in educational settings, in church settings, in mission leadership settings, on board, but people are looking at you collectively as you sit on and as you participate on a leadership team. It's the congregation looking, it's the students looking, the customers looking, the clients looking, the people you work with, the people you lead. They're looking through the window at you. How are you and how is the team spiritually, emotionally, relationally, in terms of their leadership influence? How do we get the team to the next level? That's what we want to talk about a little bit in this session. Of course, here's our Ascending Health framework. The key word is available for leadership influence. It's available in an alive relationship with God, available in an emotional awareness, available in authentic relationships with people. But again, in this case, I'm talking about as a team, that the sense that the team is spiritually alive, the team is emotionally aware, the team is relationally authentic, and so their leadership rises up in this most available way for influence. Self-awareness is the entry point to effective leadership. This has to do with team awareness and team impact. But guess what? It is difficult for a team to see themselves. So what I would say to that is it is the responsibility of the team leader to bridge this gap. It is the leader of the team who needs to have the eyes and the ears and the heart to watch over the health and the reputation, the experience of the team. So if you are a team leader, you are a senior pastor, you're a senior leader, you're a board chairman, you're a president, a director, a supervisor, a manager, you watch over the health of the team. Here's a word: you shepherd the team. It's the ascending of health of the team. You're shepherding the team's growth. Senior leader needs to be aware of these kinds of issues personally if he's going to bring his team into such a path and such an accountability. So as much as you are in the role of senior leadership, I challenge you for these things personally and in looking over your team. Now, the frequent dilemma is that the leader himself does not see these things, or they may not be important to him. So what I say to you is it important to you? Do you see it? If you're going to help the team and help them look in the mirror, you have got to be able to look at yourself in the mirror first. So in this final session, I want to talk about leadership, reference to the team, 4 healthy concerns, 2 things any purposeful team needs, 5 aspirations for the team, what makes a team great, and I want to talk about something called life cycle analysis, which I believe is the responsibility of the team. So first of all, any purposeful team needs 2 things. This is very high level, but this is the responsibility of the leader to be sure the team is working on this. And the first one is they need strategic plan. Simply said, a purposeful team needs to be doing the right things. Typically, this category does get a lot of attention. Teams know they need to have a strategic plan. They need to be working on the right things, and they set them out and make goals and hopefully prioritize things and measure themselves and evaluate and retool and refresh. But strategic plan, we have to know the tracks we're running on and where we're going. So from last session, I want to remind you these 4 questions are genius questions to help a team look at where they're going, where they need to go. What is right? To optimize. What is wrong? To correct. What is confusing? To clarify. What is missing? To add. These are 4 great questions, originate with Tom Patterson of the Patterson Center in Boulder, Colorado. These are excellent. You get the right people in the room. Facilitate discussion through these questions, prioritizing the results. This will yield the strategic issues at hand for the IOU, intentionality, ownership, and urgency. Focus your team on these issues. You can make a huge difference because of the focus. You will not just be busy working, you will be busy working on the right things. And so the team not only needs the strategic plan, but they need the healthy culture. They need to behave properly. This is the balance. And this is the emphasis of Ascending Health. There are some people who focus on the expertise of how to develop strategic plan. That's awesome. That is needed. But this healthy culture area, calling leaders and teams to behave properly, sometimes is a little bit more lacking. But we need to balance the focus. This is about giving attention to the environment, the atmosphere, the weather of your work, the weather of the church, the weather of the home. Are we behaving spiritually well? Are we behaving emotionally well? Are we behaving relationally well? Are we behaving in our leadership well? Are we living with good core values? So how do we get the team to the next level? Well, they need to do the right things and they need to do the right behaviors. That's number 1. Number 2 is there are aspirations for this healthy culture. A little bit more detail here. You know, rooted in the industrial age, there was a style of leadership that was more command and control. It was a little bit more military in feel. The leader gives commands, people obey the commands, or there will be consequences. Command and control. It's really, I think, where the word boss comes from. We use the word boss. I'm not sure I like it very much for a leader. The leader should be a servant, not necessarily a boss, although I get the idea. But in this contemporary age when we're living now, when there's more technology, more global village dynamic, there's societal changes, there's generational understandings, there is more that's come to light, and I'm telling you, command and control leadership is not the best model in our generation. We must have command and control in some elements, I get that, but what's more contemporary is trust and inspire. Tapping into creativity and talent and motivation and engagement by generating trust and inspiring people that their work is important and their presence and their participation. What they see and how they show up is vital. Patrick Lencioni, a business leader of vast experience, an author and speaker, said this: "The health of an organization is the single greatest factor determining success." That's a powerful line. The health of an organization is the single greatest factor determining success. Organizational health, when properly understood and placed into the right context, will surpass all other disciplines in business, and I would say in church, in community, in home, whatever it is. That health will surpass all other disciplines in business as the greatest opportunity for improvement and competitive advantage. This is revolutionary in some ways. And Patrick Lencioni has authored a number of books, one particular book called The Advantage. He talks about team health, and I want to just give these to you as a guide. The first aspiration we're after with the team is high morale. The second is high productivity. The third is low turnover. The fourth is minimal confusion. And the fifth is minimal politics. From his vast experience in leadership in the business sector, much study, much research, he's boiled it down to healthy cultures represented in these aspirations. In my own description, I describe high morale as meaning I want to be here. This is where I want to work. This is where I want to serve. This is where I want to be at church. This is where the missional focus. This speaks of heart and passion and desire. It's not I have to be here. I want to be here. I want to contribute. And so there's a motivation and there's a morale. And again, just as we said with the leader, is with the team as well. When morale is high, it's contagious. It's like electricity flowing around. It breeds high morale. The second aspect of team culture and health was high productivity. I describe this as I want to do my best here. This flows out of the morale. I want to participate. I want to show up and give my best and give my all. This is about productivity and fruitfulness. It's about results. Jesus wanted results and productivity. He said, I want us to have fruit and much fruit and fruit that remains. When a team is motivated to do their best, that breeds a wonderful, healthy context. Low turnover. I describe this as I desire to stay here. I have been at E3 Partners Ministry now almost 30 years. I have wanted to stay at E3 for 30 years. There's a lot of reasons for that, and I thank God for that blessing in my life. But I want to be there. I want to do my best there, and I want to stay there. And so I thank God for that. Low turnover is very important commodity of health where people are staying and remaining and having tenure and longevity. If people are coming and going and leaving the church and leaving the ministry and leaving, it just pulls the morale down and the productivity down. You see how these all weave together. I want to be here. I want to do my best. I desire to stay here. The fourth one is minimal confusion. This is a challenge because a lot of times there's fog, there's confusion. We're trying to answer questions. We're after clarity. The more clarity we have, and a person has, and a team has about their role, where they are, where they're going, how they're going to get there, many different dimensions, but the more clarity that we have, the more healthy the team will be. And finally, Lencioni talks about a minimum of politics. I describe this as I trust people are authentic here. Now this is important because wherever there's people, there's going to be opinions and ideas and disagreements. It doesn't always go your way. Sometimes a decision will be different than the one you had hoped for. It's not about politicking and manipulating and having your way be done. What minimal politics represents is, I trust that people are authentic here. And so we give input, we get feedback, we dialogue, we collaborate, but the outcome is the outcome. And because of all the other dimensions are true, I trust of authenticity. It doesn't go my way, I will support the path. And so these, I think this is excellent material from Patrick Lencioni. You can follow him or look into this book called The Advantage. But here's a good, simple outline. This is what we're after for our team. And I have seen this from time to time in ministry and in business where we're hitting on all these dimensions. But I will warn you, it is also very fragile. Because life is challenging and things are difficult and people are challenging and can be difficult. Things can change quickly. And so as quickly as you feel like, man, we're in a good place here in our church, we're in a good place in our ministry and our business, and we've got morale and productivity and people are staying and we have clarity and we have authenticity, but I'm telling you, it can be fragile. And the thief wants to steal, kill, and destroy any of these good things. And so we have to stay nearby. We have to stay on top of it. Now, the third point about team health and leadership I want to talk about, again, comes from another resource. Getting your team to the next level are called the elements of a great team. Having discovered this material, I want to share with you from Google. Now, some years ago now, Google launched a project that was called Project Aristotle. And the purpose of this project was to discover the common truth about its most successful teams. This was a vast study over the course of 2 years, a lot of money, a lot of smart people, psychologists and executives and team leaders and team members, researching, dialoguing, and talking, studying to determine what makes a team great at Google. Now everyone knows Google. This word has come new in recent years and has literally swept the world. We always talk about just Google it, and wherever you are in the world, basically people know what that means. I figured that if these elements are true for a great team at Google, then they probably are good for a great team almost anywhere. What did their study reveal? You might not be surprised, quite frankly. The first one is dependability. A great team has dependability. This means we can count on each other to do high quality work on time. I'm talking about dependability in the family, dependability in the marriage, dependability if you work at Google, or dependability in the church or in the ministry or in the mission. When you know your teammates are going to do quality work and get it done on time, you will trust them. There's accountability and reliability toward success. The fact is, when even one team member is not doing their best, it can actually cause a team to crumble and lose trust. Every team member needs to be dependable and reliable, doing high quality work on time. That was the first point. The second discovery they made of a great team is that there must be structure and clarity. The point is, our goals, roles, and execution plans for our team clear. We cannot be moving in the fog. We cannot move a train without the tracks. Structure and clarity must be in place. Not too rigid to stifle progress, but specific and clear performance standards, goals, directives. This is about IOU, intentionality, ownership, and urgency. The more specificity, the better. Gives more clarity, more transparency. A team needs to know what is expected of them. And in this structure, in this clarity, these things become true. Another wise consultant I knew years ago said this: we need to know who is responsible to whom and who is responsible for what. Where are the roles? Where are the plans? Where are the goals? Structure and clarity for a team is important. Church, business, home. Thirdly, meaning. This gets a little bit more interesting. What this means for a great team is, are we working on something that is personally important to each of us? The human frame wants to have meaning. We want to work on something that matters. Now, when I think about those of you in leading and working in the ministry sector, my goodness, this is easy. We have meaning. It's the kingdom of God, the will of God, the transformation of lives. How meaningful, whether you're working with children or youth, adults, or whatever sector of the ministry, there is great meaning and calling in all of these places. A team will be a great team if they believe that their work has meaning. The fourth point in the study was impact. What this means for a great team is, do we fundamentally believe that the work we're doing matters? We want to create value. We want to create something, again, that is helpful. Again, in the ministry platform, we have this easily. We believe that our work matters, not only for this world, but for eternity. We talked earlier about whatever you do, do with all your heart. You will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. That means the work matters. It's rewardable. Team leaders, team members want to feel the work is helping advance the church, helping advance the mission, helping advance the organization. This is motivating. I have one of my daughters that works in the IT sector, and there's been a lot of movement in that sector. And unfortunately, over the years, she's experienced many leadership changes and job changes, and there's been many times when they were working in one path, the leadership changes, and they throw everything away and start over again, and start over again and again. And it's hard for her to feel like her work matters sometimes, because they'll suddenly just change everything and throw all the work away that has been accomplished. That's a challenging setting to believe you're having impact. The fifth one, and interestingly enough, and the most important one, they said, the underpinning of the other four was psychological safety. And that's particularly a focus related to Ascending Health. What does this mean? Can we take risks on this team without feeling insecure or embarrassed? Wow, how important is this? This means people on the team take attention to the environment, to the atmosphere, the culture. It's like the water the fish is swimming in. Is this water safe? Are there sharks swimming in this water that might eat me? Psychological safety says it's safe to voice your opinion. It's safe to ask judgment-free questions. There's a free flow of ideas. There's healthy debate so we can have better outcomes. No fear of retribution or adverse impact on your reputation. The safer team members feel with one another, the more likely they are to admit mistakes, to partner together, to take on new roles. They're less likely to leave. You'll harness the power of diversity. Just go on and on and on. If psychological safety is present, it's an upswing. If it's not present, people will be fearful, cautious, lose trust, will be hesitant to participate, lest they be shamed. Psychological safety on your team. The leader is the one that, like electricity, sets the mood for this. People have experience on a team. If the team is going to be healthy, it's got to have a psychological safety within it. This says everything in accordance with, I believe, the Bible as well. That the Bible talks about, again, healthy relationship, communication, honesty, truth. You will know the truth. The truth will set you free. How do we get to the truth if we cannot talk freely and ask questions and go on the journey together? So please take this into account. This is an important dimension, I think, of team dynamic. Again, if it worked for Google, I think it would work for us. Dependability, structure and clarity, meaning, impact, and psychological safety. The climate where people feel safe enough to take interpersonal risks by speaking up and sharing concerns, questions, or ideas. This is a statement from the Lion Strategy Group. The same thing, psychological safety. Now, one more point, the life cycle analysis. I want to talk about how do we get the team to the next level. I want to talk about something very important. Here's a common bell curve. We're all familiar with this, right? Let's look at it as a life cycle. There's a time of building, then there is a time of reaping, then there is a time of actually declining, and then there is a time of, we'd say, tanking. Our life is like this. We're born, we grow, we get up to an apex, we begin to decline, and eventually we die. There is sin and death in this world. This is the path. There's a life cycle analysis to our very human life. But this path applies to virtually everything in life, personally and professionally. The building phase is when we're talking about the direction and the plan, the right people in the proper roles, the funding, many other things in this stage when we're starting and earning trust and beginning to build something. We have an idea, we're excited, we're gathering a team, and we're starting to put something together. I remember years ago when we came to E3 Partners, which was originally Global Missions Fellowship. I got there from a pastorate in New Jersey very early on in the life of Global Missions Fellowship. Had the privilege to be part of this building phase. And my, how exciting and motivating. Morale high, productivity high. And God showed up, and it just was an exciting season of building the ministry. We need to pay attention to this as leaders. Then we come into the reaping cycle of analysis. This is, how do we keep it going? How do we maintain? How do we optimize? What do we need to do to improve? So we're really reaping the greatest fruit and the greatest harvest of productivity to come up to the workmanship in Christ. You know, you can see, I hope, that this analysis applies to virtually anything in life. I mean, any project, any program, any budget, almost anything, even a relationship, or how is our communication, our profitability, our productivity, our our different dimensions of ministry. How is our children going, our youth going? We're building it, we're reaping it. You can put anything on this life cycle, but then we need to watch for now the decline. Inevitably, it will turn down. We need to identify the issues. We have to address questions, address doubts. Is there a turnaround plan? Or is it on the decline, and do we actually let it go into a tanking time where the serious questions are, is the time over? Or is it a time to rebuild? How do we get back over to the building phase? What have we learned? If we let it go and the time is over for this group, for this program, for this team, for this church plant, for this business venture, whatever it might, this relationship, whatever it might be, it could be over. What do we learn from it? Well, this life cycle analysis, I think, is something that leaders and teams need to pay attention to. Becomes our responsibility to identify where we are on this process. What is it that we're building? What needs to be built? What is reaping? How do we maximize? What is declining? And then, of course, what is tanking? We need to take a look as leaders. It's our responsibility to make the identification and then to make the decisions appropriate for each one of those categories. So I see this as a team health issue. It falls in the leadership as a team to have the eyes and ears and heart to make hard decisions based on where we are and the life of our work. In Luke chapter 5, Jesus was coming to call his disciples to follow him, and he said to Peter, "Let down your nets for the catch." Well, they had been fishing all night. They hadn't caught anything. But Peter said, "Master, because you say so, we will let down the nets." And of course, you remember that they enclosed a great multitude of fish. They filled the boats to the brim. They were almost sinking. They were so full of fish. Peter was humbled and fell at his knees before Jesus and said, "Depart from me, I am a sinful man." I was thinking that what if Peter had fallen at Jesus' knees and said, "Jesus, join my fishing business. If you will come join my fishing business, we can catch fish like this all day long. We'll make a lot of money. We can tithe to the temple." And of course, that's not what happened. But I wonder, sometimes we think like this. We have a great idea, a great ministry, a great business. If I can get Jesus to join my idea, bless my idea, wow, how awesome will it be? Well, we have to be very careful. We want to be in step and in flow with God's plan and his will, because he was coming to call them to join his fishing business, and it's still true today. When Peter said, "Depart from me, Lord, I'm a sinful man," Jesus exhorted him, "Don't be afraid," because Peter was afraid of himself, I think, and his own sinfulness. He commanded them to come and follow me. Follow me as rabbi, as teacher, as leader, as servant, and I will make you, as a promise, I will make you into a fisher of men. Our friends, it's the same today. Wherever we're serving, wherever we're leading, don't be afraid. Follow Christ. He will make you an influencer of people. Back to session 1, the book of Haggai. But now be strong, be strong, be strong, and work. I am with you. My spirit remains with you. Do not fear. It's the same as we have been speaking about through the seminar. But now be strong spiritually, be strong emotionally, be strong relationally, be strong in our leadership influence in terms of our work. There's a clockwise resourcing here, spiritual, emotional, relational, and leadership. But Christ is in the middle of it. I am with you. My spirit remains among you. Do not fear. God had said in this passage in Haggai, and in this place I will put my shalom, my peace, and the glory of this present house will be greater than the glory of the former house. Ascending health. I hope you'll be able to remember this slide. We've been over and over. I pray that it will touch your heart and help you move further alive with God, aware of self, authentic with people, and available to bring your influence through your intimate and personal calling under God in whatever platform and life roles you find yourself at this time. Living under the lordship of Jesus Christ. Guiding questions for your team. What is right? What is wrong? What is confusing? What is missing? We talked about this last time as in the leader analysis. This time, what about your team? What's right for the team, wrong for the team, confusing and missing, giving a team focus. This can be an excellent exercise. I commend it to you. Well, thank you for taking in this seminar, Ascending Health. Truly has been my privilege to share this information with you. I pray that it would be a divine appointment in your life to have taken this course, and perhaps even a defining moment in some way. That perhaps God has spoken to you in a fresh way, in a new way, for you on a personal level, that you will be personally better to be more professionally better, to be a better person, to be a better leader, to be a better servant. Sam Ingracia with Ascending Health, lifting leaders and teams to greater heights. It's been my privilege again to be with you. God bless you.